Mala tene jule tene ka switches pa changmala thuje che tene diring ika ngata ika interaction pia tene Namgyal Angmo le swete no tene ija changmala thugis no tene Namgyal Angmo le tene kong recently tene UPSC Union Public Service Commission ne kawana IAS na IPS na tene Central Services Examination cha tene kong ma angtans gyalang nyapo kone qualified jate no tene ngata Ladakh spa changme pia ma ngata proud feel churches nang ma jakshi no tene diri ngata Ladakh ni tene Namgyal Angmo le tene kong isam ranking galena UPSC qualified churches pa tene ngata changma ma chante changme chone tene khasya Ladakh Science Foundation ni chone tene Namgyal Angmo le ma mubarak tashis delik jun tene kone apale amale gunlang tene ma tashis delik jun tene kone something ataika guidance and support zate tene diri kong qualified zate no tene Namgyal Angmo le school la mangmi jinge inika tene duspek jun tene tene Namgyal Angmo le tene kong ngatang latak se Nimoo ni juk se no tene kong tene taksang ta recently tene UPSC ngata qualified zate tene kawana rank na 323 top no tene isangula tene ngata ina 2019 tene UPSC tene Indian Economic Service IAS na kone qualified zate pin tene dang tene kong IAS tene ngata se trainee training ज़्यादा नो तेने कोने तेने लॉबजों स्कोर को जुना तेने कोने चुंतु से लॉबजों बो तेने कोने लमडोन मॉडर्न स्कूल लेने जाते नो तेने जिंदा शुपा सुपला ते जने कों मा टॉपर युतपिन सिला मा गला युतपिन जुदु तेने तेने कोन intermediate po tene Mahindra United World College ka Pune na UWC jano tene kone tene zate no tene kone graduate po tene mathematical economics ka na Colorado University College USC ne zate no tene zane kon university topper tene kon la tene gold medalist santo wazato tene tene kon ngata gala shko tene Delhi School of Economics ne kone economics na tene gata postgraduate po just no yale tene tene kan kone campus placements no tene Bangalore last year tene Bangalore ka ngata Citigroup na ngata business analyst last year tene tezane kong long is Bangalore la juxane tezane nge office na koma kone office Nimoo so pen so pangana po interaction junjo chen pen tene nga tezane pata pen tene Namgyal Angmo le ten something ata dedicatedly kone UPSC preparation pen kona job junjita job na plus job yapo tene kone UPSC preparation ate zana zada pen yale tezane ma dedicatedly ma sincerely zada pen tezane nga long is po kona ma take interaction choose nga staff shito na from Bangalore le zane tene nge Namgyal Angmo le tene ka time zate switches ma choose tene changmala ika sketches ma tuje che tene zoom na tene mi 100 chig mane tene ika etchu yana mukte pia mangpo je karung waiting room na dugyale te pia nge changmala ngula juste tene rada video on boraza tene chizane ka ta yo video na ta record juste tene record post tini ata YouTube channel ka tansis tene Namgyal Angmo le tene yera tini kani interaction bozana tene ngera ijun tene chek something ata struggle zati supashkot lobjong askal bo tene US launch sila zate no kasna te school pangata schooling na graduation post graduation na tene preparation school ya chek mola zate tene kazu UPSC na something ata sil gozo kazu pattern jo te score jik na tene ngera kazu singata gyale so point important molngan cheza te school mola zate tene baki test tene ngata question answer session go tene sting ni join tene medium of instruct medium bo tene Ladakh sana molandik tene jung ata Hindi English cheese kolandik tene sugat kaltes ngeda ina chizane Ladakh so mangchat pasang nge rewachun kina Ladakh so mangcha yotu yale tene yang sugat chi concern yona tene ngata sting ni yang question answer session gunjan nge doubt tia zatna digal tene Namgyal Angmo le jule ngena start zat
Jule kale, tugje kale is gala introduction such as if yeah, here I want share details and a cover chart that's kale. Tene same samala ta kale thank you. Mera low bunching me phalai some efforts show that no students gonna career counseling, career guidance now scholarship schemes gonna scholar awareness increase which is if yeah. Ang summarize some important topic is mount chang I gun ngatang thon students gun nga experience something ma changa ta peers yeah friends yeah relatives seniors gun ek course choose shot kaukshik career choose shot tenda we according at peer pressure something herd mentality follow just they thumb in tan tan of a match here so then important in all aptitude according potential according interest according full information you think that I decide to na cookshi course career so I think teo thame so important dugle tene kale efforts if you to kale thame samala that's a much like students youth no ki college students no school students no teo te chik pata chana nge address pote we according emphasis time le much like school students yo dale lokpa te chik lan jate mola school students in
yeah tai ka mix yo to Namgyal Angmo le ta ina school ta sange target audience wo mount se tene 11 12 tene college silkan mount se yo diale son pasanta yara 11 12 ni ya prepare chokan cover jandi mang pui ka prepare chokan ayo teno
ole kasa tene screen share chostan kan so सामान्य स्क्रीन थोन तो करे काले
ठीक दुगले
थोन दुगले
ओले थैंक यू so काले बोला जाते हैं तो सामान्य स्कूलिंग बोझ है ना Moravian Mission School ले गोमा till 5th grade testing Lamdon School shift just been mainly CBSE curriculum with the some Lamdon School some it will be better plus parents as well ते time में कहते थे exam shake हंगा था they consider trauma no but then CBSE main reason fortunately Lamdon School even advantage like extracurricular activities like debate competitions quizzes essay competitions it's also they mapo extracurricular activities but they kind personality development confidence building they wang askaf shik thogale sa school mapo ayuti gubi those activities ko but they time ko te zam so nge summer of those activities mera the student thamai no le ka ro na school colleges each hamena participate to just for management ke culture no na academics chik pochi sama manole sama gyu sutno dasa personality ko shigot communication skill ka dok shigala tv basis se kama ta dam shik in the future performance to depend man ma poch hanole tefia I would encourage kids some part nena jadle those activities some shing on drama debate chio non so Lamdon school 10th super 10th class testing Lamdon school now UWC Singapore collaboration jigot kya that's I think doing scholarship provide 10th class and perform exam performance basis so they scholarship both of the song I thought Mahindra UWC of India charges if scholarship in my so is some opportunity ma gyala so Mahindra UWC 11th now 12th class for complete just me Pune so I think yeah mount dasang yang sama tisam kyus medo Mahindra UWC now take out an IB curriculum beskola teo tena e advantage for you dupenya IB curriculum versus dasang ata conventional curriculum yano schools na CBSE ICSE you open mindedness developed which is critical thinking analytical skills culture so country so students going to interact just the kone perspectives from understand to just the open-minded mindedness for developed such as if magyala IB curriculum so then rather than fix CBSE streams medical, non-medical, commerce, humanities, still met comprehensive program knowledge areas focus to plus activities, community focus so this sciences, math, economics, interest mainly science and math because something most non-medical stream in physics, chemistry, biology na I'm interested with so Mahindra UWCS sciences, physics, chemistry, math higher level, economics and languages, English, Hindi, so on. So take economics interest develops because the professor guma gala and course pose is engaging rather than textbook economics course textbook सिर्फ class discussions and तेज आने current events चीज़ ते basis papers assign जुस्ते ते event को analyze जुस्ते graphs draw जुस्ते concept को apply जुस्ते paper बन check submit जोंजिक ते basis score है जिससे ते फिर economics से ना interest में ते करने भला starts हो so this thing ne graduation is thing ne UWC ne graduate just this thing ne options bunch open mancha UWC kan students go ne fellow apply to US European schools India but then yes some scholarship is available to pay which is a Davis scholarship they were UWC all over the world. They can US schools, European schools, bunch of financial aid, considerable financial aid. So that's a golden opportunity. It's good to explore, right? Rather than confining yourself in one place. So there's some scholarship on and I have a lot of friends so going to apply to European. So I'll also apply. So narrow just in the list colleges say based on seniors guni prospera tangste thopa uni prospera tangste teningala te college chakan yang shiskanu so ane tene te basis se kan narrow just Colorado College Colorado State in USA te wong list na tene mainly chezana Colorado College a unique aspect of the block plans ite kavena 1 month na course chick complete which sorry and nothing else. So entire focus is on just one course. They will just say teachers, professors who interaction more intense. Then a classroom session, field trips to just dinner with professors, then interaction, then research opportunities. So unique just for Colorado College. They so Colorado College offer and 100% scholarship on it. So that's why some opportunity so then I decided to go to the US in a liberal arts college in Colorado College, as in the sense that the arts fine arts music course liberal arts liberal thinking developed course design unbiased thinking developed course colleges and also on US parlance they program already in economics and interest develops something so mathematical economics major then it's a research thesis compulsory on only US India undergraduate level thesis compulsory even master's level thesis compulsory but you important which is research aptitude both in a research independent research which is ability I think develops such as more important and also so US Colorado College research opportunity they will just say independent research skills develop they want a plus point further going on to masters and so on so Colorado College bachelor's to complete just a master's for Delhi School of Economics just Delhi University used to do so economics and maybe interested youth or plan cho ki masters jo in economics na DSC Delhi School of Economics se masters course ko mane unlike other schools in India mane math ka mapo focus ho gaya rigorous so every week papers, every week tests, so very academically oriented. So they wish us that some activities other than academics they omit pasong man academics chipe ka focus on they time ka some prepare chomang in the UPSC. UPSC was on the back of my mind already, like Colorado ne young stay. I was thinking partially maybe UPSC ne pursue join something, but DSC I enrolled choice lang ite now UPSC fair register choice so that was 2014. Then they prelims dance yale without preparing a lot. They time CSAT paper go prelims and ayot nira jusoto CSAT ko CSAT marks for add chatpin solid CSAT na I'll get to that later. Aptitude numeric skills say some test channel maths ko gala na I think logical skills analytical skills gala na CSAT ko easy charuk solid. So CSAT and then whatever little ye prepares you in the basis prelims stumps and prelims both is a clear song and mains 6 months, I think 4 months is the 4-5 months is the but at the same time DSC enrolled just the song I'm focused to mainly preparation so may some semester exams for my importance down then December's mains for joining it is just to see what it is like mains paper task and so obviously mains for a clear muscle so this thing it was like almost abandoned UPSC there's some UPSC ka focus much masters then testing you know placements they go need something they come focus DSC masters will complete choice sangala Maupo business schools in a channel yamane engineering schools law schools some in a channel place campus placements use to sama till also DSC on campus placements channel so campus placements and I think 50% students to do the campus placements and Mangpo students look on the DSC so PhD masters MPhil US Europe का उसे apply चुस्ते ते जो चुस्ते academic field GC net ते sama use do ते path को तेने ते सुसलांगे placements ना दोस्त पासा Citigroup पे करने का offer तो बले तेज़ने to be a business analyst. So Citigroup day zero company so fortunately easily finish showing any placement wo this thing so Bangalore resident 2 years. So that was now in summary educational background. Then work experience before me city and then Bangalore testing UPSC which is a point coverage in some work experience. Here's an academics and some vested lusano exams clear churches yeah tests yeah entrance exams they focus so unlike young community young society when I think Indian academic focus ko mapo so pa nga tina Colorado college evo observe students gune some academics ka focus ta po experience jobs and now is an independent living na independent independently learning each important attributes and there's a focus environment learning environment they independent spirit would develop such as if jobs with internships with now volunteering with now they work experience but there's a bill channel stay masters bachelor's complete so this thing CV resume build chorna tisam isuk shigwa miru bahalali chi time CV na because we didn't do anything academics mane pin mane exams ka ma focus pin te fyange sama gomane phalange rai be on the lookout ki opportunities look kyong share volunteer juches do kyong share internship check available do kokshik chunji ke zukshig na teve karne ngata resume build chano you not only for government jobs halale private jobs chick po government jobs chick po mano chi field na ngata changino na ngata e experiences portion take count chalo so usually government jobs in is relevant because they're not exam they vacancy apply just top charges they were not true, but then I think to set yourself apart it's volunteering internships that will add a lot of value resume CV so they focus more just for important they feel college Colorado pocket money campus jobs for example math department is papers assignments they professors if they check just course already finished they took grading jobs then summer vacations and volunteering churches chun internships projects churches and then DSC masters during the anyway summer internship chiga Delhi just research firm jina so pati kani kula CV wo build chano manon and te na is pasting ne placements on the sine 2016 na nge Bangalore move just been Delhi ne for the job. So, Evo business analyst role jingen Citigroup nge cha pata to Citibank Citigroup tena umbrella organization na fall chano yale tena nge business analyst role was advisory role and analytic role so data use switches and then advising jo ka main is business head located in the US Europe Citigroup organization chenmo so they gonna advise churches based on data e kokshik business perform charup small and medium businesses ka Citigroup client kone performance for kokshik the kone loans men kan wo efficiently kona delivers charo chame ruktamshik time go to tesuksta te udakse discussion if it doesn't relevant man of payale tesukshik role in here 2 years if yeah the time ka tesam UPSC ka zukshik attention tang mangen because hectic or exam and there's attention tang some fair touch not for the job and not for the main goal of UPSC that there's it was pushed to the back burner so to speak UPSC but during the course of my Citigroup at last which is a time ma gross only this feeling that is ma desk job data crunching there was some maybe there's more to life than that so some maybe ngani tenang UPSC plan bo yang mane take a focus show which is enough so 2 years last year 2018 and now Citigroup quit just when resigned just 2018 June I think May June resigned just I moved to Delhi again full-time UPSC prepare just then at the same time some Indian economic service relevant because masters need just in economics and I have some relatives so exam so idea exam is and interest on so there's an UPSC preparation mo start just been so focus in a UPSC ka UPSC Union Public Service Commission central union government recruiting agency exams conduct for various services of the central government Indian Economic Service joined just Group A central service and oil central government Ministry social service Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Agriculture each hamena department social advisory role in so economic reforms policy reforms, policy implementation, fields hamena advice to which government. So you take more specialized service and oil. Unlike civil service generalist, they will just say you'll see Indian economic service if you're prerequisite for post graduation in economics. And yeah, many economics related young subject like business economics, econometrics, it's requirement to get post graduation courses. But civil services where graduation is enough. So Indian economic service in case interested na economics dasa pursue na ya masters join do even school na bachelor's join na information it is important. Exam wo 2 stages in civil service in 3 stages so Indian economic service in 2 stages. Written part mains UPSC civil service exam in a mains first stage in a IAS and economic service in a written part English paper general studies paper they can ask you anything under the sun. General studies then now UPSC civil service parlance and general studies paper history geography international relations so they cover which is important to know. This thing 4 papers focus for economics entirely. Microeconomics, econometrics, quantitative economics, macroeconomics, public economics, public finance, environmental economics, then Indian economy, history, history of planning in India, this subject, budget, this cover channel, so paper sheet. Then second stage for personality test. After exam is main classes 6 written both 6 months thing whole so 2019 and 19 target both Indian economic service now civil service exam is here. So June 2019 in economic service fair appear so economic service exam written part result December result October and so in the meantime civil service exam so this in January this in October and results means being this thing December and interview both then interview book clear song January I got to know and then after that April and I usually training most start channel but because of the pandemic lockdown recently money training start so now I have joined and we have training going on online training so exam in case interested or na UPSC website ka notification syllabus for GS paper paper 1 paper 2 3 4 economics then a detailed syllabus which you provided so masters but remember ki masters is thing money exam wo so in case interested on the masters pursue the graduation thing and then you can appear for the exam. So I think civil service exam if you're much interested you do. So civil economic service school is still central service and central government. But civil service exam through recruitment varies to civil service with union government. Then all India services are included in Indian administrative service, police service, foreign service, revenue, railways, postal, and so on. Then they based on your own interest. Then they preference submit which is this sting the channel but overall civil service exam through e-service fair recruitment channel candidate a lot chat that's based on the ranking that's based on the preference of the candidate civil service exam ngala mention just graduation mane saman hoyale. So graduation is thing you can, or even graduation 6 sangala nga thongle ma pe start to prepare churches. So maybe mera agar interest you na civil service ka focused is intention na then graduation is sangala start churches. So it's a wise decision. But graduation churches for prerequisite and hoyale. And exam in 3 stages of preliminary exam, mains, and personality test. Now preliminary exam in 2 papers of I think many of you would know, but briefly is just that outline 2 papers prelims and general studies paper, now CSAT paper. E paper is objective, but important thing is e-paper is qualifying only. They're only qualifying. So e-paper gunena marks the basis you get qualified to write the mains exam. So it doesn't matter if prelims na score or not. That should not be the objective. Maximum prelims exam is called prelims or prelims objective type paper no paper is general studies paper. Now CSAT paper, but they qualifying so objective cut off marks advice usually 110 yeah they just for objective they according smartly some questions attempt is in they focus on so prelims and 200 marks each paper is but only qualifying. That means prelims pena assumption marks the final merit merit consideration and count chama no sale. Prelims to clear chana qualify something no mains touches mains qualify something personality test. Only mains exam now personality test exam book personality test marks po final ranking if count chana main exam bena again one more thing, prelims I forgot to mention CSAT marks pang qualifying and all. That means CSAT minimum marks she got I think 33%. Young signature says I think 33% 33% wo young mane GS paper wo check chamano. So weak maths and CSAT type questions, aptitude, analytical, logical, reasoning type questions and GS focus wishes and all CSAT questions when on practice churches say. So that is CSAT is just thing GS Namgyal prepare something now. CSAT is just a prelims book clear focus wishes important and all. So, this is mains exam now. Qualifying paper is English paper is now Indian language paper. So, Indian language paper na 22 options and all that. Kavu Constitution, Indian Constitution na 12 schedules but then on 8th schedule bena list languages these languages ka language but mostly Hindi because Hindi school ne phala ma is fluency. So English na Hindi, so Hindi counts not so much because e paper na basic is test just ki conversation je carry chong is hago on e language ko. So for Hindi count but prelims is thing now jakachik is I think kadam shik school na sil to basis enough challenge jakachik study for Hindi. Hindi and English to qualifying and all it. They paper when minimum mark she goes to money. Rest of the papers means in essay paper, GS general study paper 1, 2, 3, 4. Optional subject. They gun in language paper gun qualify something. They gun consider chamano like check chamano. So for essay paper merit if only essay paper na e paper. GSE paper 4 G now optional subject paper iska count channel 250 marks each 7 papers total marks 1750 then a personality test at 275 marks so per E 1750 plus 275 marks they will basis final ranking board decide channel then check purang detail in exam is that would take a lot of time scope mampo kya the discussion jo jise but briefly yung ye khata UPSC website karne so I think March has so ngerang samen on UPSC na interested civil service exam na interested do sama thon to do is post syllabus po prelims syllabus harare so paper 1 wo general studies and all 2 hours a paper 200 marks CSAT paper 2 2 hours again so you know as you can see chi sama I mean but mostly they'll be relevant current issues dasa ka relevant event te wo kone connect chano ka textbook na ma I think in the past 4-5 years ne phala you notice on the prelims na bookish questions new asonte do gale books se kane memorize chuste textbook po revise chik po chuste me no the analytical thinking and you push is important though so prelims if you is po skill bomb practice which is important and all because ma chamata questions answers pata me na ka question elimination skills bo na ka wrong answers gunata you know eliminate chonge na te basis ka common sense use just questions phalan jeng answer chawe te wong crucial factors you know just an marks khachik ne mock prelims clear macha lusana ko harale so te skill ko ka ne ono na practice mock test mock practice just te kane just the time manage channel like either ngata 2 hours in some shi question jo na maximum ngata score charu maximum chi ta kana cut off ngata aim just te sam shi charu plus negative marking will minimize such just negative marking that's an important aspect preliminary paper when a negative marking 1/3 of the marks wrong answer minus 1/3 of the mark channel so carefully questions ka answer choose just ka answer major just they won't wisely choose choose so mock test mock which is important so syllabus politics na national issues international issues history halale Indian national movement geography polity e thamat mane I think thama manch pata dole ka syllabus na yo so is syllabus pong focus in about just because ma pong ta divert channel source menda syringic but e syllabus e prelims if it after succinct you know short chicken all but then cover more charges and if a basic text with NCRTs with kya many popular books like Spectrum history fair polity fair Lakshmikant so on that's how I revise which is enough specific issues like a focus which is newspapers continuously just but irrelevant things like a focus much so like continuously in a regime or schedule board na each hama cover charges and then CSAT ponging analysis so in week youth is gonna maths is samena te CSAT papers impo practice join charges not as frequently as kazogata GS se ka because GS vast halale they cover just for time so CSAT po maybe once a week twice a week depending on level book of logical reasoning type questions solved just if they were mock test that will ensure qualifying marks for CSAT na yun so pa evo prelims exam they say mains exam the mistake is I think candidates are prelims ka focus chipo just mains po completely sideline just answers but that doesn't make sense just prelims po clear just where will you get teacher main ngata marking bo mains na interview kane ho just prelims per se ngata gateway to mains and interview no halale so focus on your optional coaching and then choose to choose na hanne phala decide to choose at least I think even at least years logic chingala decide choose te wo coaches te syllabus book cover choose te wong plan out just at least once optional is syllabus book cover which is prelims at least once this thing 2-3 months prelims if you intensively study which is then prelims is thing obviously break is important that this immediately you need to get back to mains just at a time this is a monk prelims now means and I think hardly 3 months main se entire syllabus plus optional cheez hum cover which is really difficult if you are important at least optional book cover just the board GS papers monte na prelims and cheez no but now the trick is about knowing how to write efficient answers. Mains na 3 hours and 20 questions attempt judges. Tough chara harale. So if you mainly mark score judges if you maximum samshik questions attempt chungena plus to samshik shortly, succinctly, words new in a point wise answer judges. If you mock test is important and also. If you immediately prelims this thing like test series if you enroll judges, syllabus po all the time I focus judges chi look syllabus and now you the short syllabus shik dasang is summary shik but detailed syllabus po UPSC notification ayut kya hai te wo you have to keep it in mind chi yote samena word by word cover judges po important and also main sifia and answer writing just test series name te mane ngana pada chamano ngata samado ki I'm finding answers ding in it but especially ka students with humanities background yeah research academic background they ngata to used to long drawn out answers which is to the point my dear mako beating around the bush having weakness for your opinion and I think I still have that weakness but test series is kind of understand like exactly where you're faltering then you can cook share strategy marks basis ka pata chano ki dasa man shanti week ra ya ka improve joshira point ka short choices answers more relevant answers reaches composition will improve choices essay writing this hama test series is going to improve so immediately test series nante syllabus po mind na porte properly prepare choices revision choices repeatedly of the GS material then optional post scoring and also on the paper that's why optional ngan nepala decide to say syllabus book cover just they on test series ne just solid then a strategy you follow just the mains if you some hard study which is important because mains in marks that chunk of like 1750 marks basis performance for decide so but mains like a focus prelims not just after the prelims so you need brief figure syllabus essay paper English na Hindi cover just essay paper 2 essays teaches in 3 hours so options when on choose so on the spot thinking test arguments frame language argumentative clearly points put forth inches then a creative writing the creativity which is essay young people to the point answers creative writing now sophisticated words used to just that's a complete no some shik answers simple to the point that's the most important so test series develop skills so GS paper first paper 2 means history history and geography paper 3 polity international relations social justice 3 economics then science disaster management topics paper 4 ethics interesting paper personality wo say scope ma both values ka depend ethics and answers classes and develop in case coaching classes test series obviously they can develop so concepts for study but then inherent values especially coming from Leh we have unique values unique cultures traditions they won't show to just the scope ethics and so that's a strong point they personality will just scope ethics paper so exam scoring paper and all that and then optional choose 250 marks again both papers optionals and now score that because that's your area of specialization they were now to the point syllabus now on questions focused answers scope then optional economics naturally that was the natural choice for me so we already economics syllabus for prelims cover and then optional prelims is cover again the syllabus and then test series catching in pencil optional and then GS if you test series so that way time bo plan which is important paper if you have prelims check pick a focus man only because prelims is nothing, it just qualifies you for mains and interview. So keep in mind the mains syllabus, keep in mind that there's more ahead. Prelims po paper man only, that's the mistake many aspirants make. So they will is then interview kange inna again UPSC kange tripping nentene interview now it's not about facts halale facts now wata syllabus book something ata study jo to it's hamanga la test jo thata no mains and prelims and so you no coaching ata mental aptitude do ngata na something ability do to be confident, to be expressive halale something clearly ngata expression and then leadership qualities astano values astano integrity questions so postures thing ata for example case studies posture which is an opena ata share response to look such as yeah many interviews na stress test on with it so purposely stressful questions put just to judge king ata calm and composure bong and that's how interview no personality test after all, right? So then is knowledge if I'm knowledge mainly personality test which is but still interview fair revised which is the syllabus board, especially now here current issues for important chat and all interview fair current issues, analyzing current issues for example policy you do they recommendation hometown Leh scholar yeah anything about our culture, anything about our heritage, that's how important personal attributes, that's how much is the knowledge for do. So but interview management is a vast they can ask you anything under the sun. So interview fair mock interviews is important and I took 3 mock interviews. They were an idea channel because we might think okay it's fine look boating I can do that that's not because maybe we'll think that mains is the hardest part, the mains clear cha interview maybe we'll think that okay it's nothing, it's just a 30-minute conversation with some people, but mock interviews they tell a lot about the person. Mock interviews weaknesses strengths, areas of strength board dress which is in dress which is in body language maintained which is in eye contact it's all chun is but they matter a lot. Impression form chart board त्यो mock interviews nente ngata pada chanole ki koksha ngata round conduct which is in kazukshega board member guna goma sonte address which is in tene answers tanzane koksha start which is they'll interrupt you a lot of times. They'll purposely choose so that we get flustered. But they'll michachis calm to matches. It's a mock interview in a practice charugale. So mock interviews again means this thing immediate means this thing maybe a month after that. Check mock interviews at least 3-4 mock interviews natures important. So I think that's it. Interview. Then now is for UPSC is for coverage prelims, mains, and interview. Specific questions on the please questions. I think questions will be a better way. You also doubts on exam is for economic services for so please put forward your questions.
Hello. Namgyal, can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Acha Namgyal you teach Namgyal ki how like for preparing for this civil services tamshika coaching cost like course fee.
Course fee depends. I think average Daksa course fee it keeps increasing year by year, but Daksa last year in income it was around 1.5 lakhs. The general studies if per year.
Okay,
GS is fairly GS integrated course. So then a mock tests, prelims if mock tests are included. And if you prelims clear chana then they mains it's wrong guide journal and then interview also. So me rouse case Delhi rouse the coaching institute Delhi take enroll just So 1.55.
Okay. So yeah, just purpose for question boy ki see like the course itself is costing like 1.5 lakh, and on top of that, you have to stay in Delhi, somewhere in Delhi, and have to pay the rent and all the other expenses. So is it possible to crack an IAS for some people who is coming from a very humble background, who don't have that much of financial setup? Is it possible to crack an exam without coaching?
Definitely. So I took coaching. That was my personal choice, right? So I'm sure if you look at the list of aspirants, candidates, 829 or something this year, you'll find a ton of examples where people have come from very challenging backgrounds. They have had no coaching.
How much is the percentage, like out of 100? How much is are the people who haven't gone through this course coaching?
Well, that I don't have numbers for that. I don't know all the candidates personally, right? So I can't tell you an exact percentage. But I keep seeing all these examples. Like you see stories shared about these candidates who come from very humble backgrounds, who come from challenging backgrounds. They haven't had a lot of exposure, but they still struggle, right? They still struggle. They find whatever resources and avenues they can. If you have the will to do it, it doesn't matter, because honestly coaching ninjas for me personal choice Maupo kasi coaching manena preparation. So that's a website resources it's not the dark ages, so resources maupo there's no scarcity of resources, so then now
and one more reason, like for when I was in doing my graduation chosen the thing was, if I didn't have that much of financial back and back, and at the same time, if you take a loan and study, prepare for IAS, and you're not sure whether you'll be able to crack it or not, and in that duration, like preparing for a lot of 2-3 years at least, go by, like for preparing for IAS. So I really congratulate you for being one of few of Ladakhi in the history of
is important as a career option, but then depends on you. Pursue that's up to you. If you don't want to, it's not the only career out there. It's not the only way you can contribute. There's so many things. Civil service it was always on the, I told you, consider but I only started considering it seriously when a job was started. Then this kind of a desk job is not for me, so I experienced that. Masters was I wasn't sure. UPSC for committed that's why I decided to go for the job, and job choosing is safe. I saved and I paid for my preparation on my own and living expenses and everything. So they want to take important is to open up my horizons and suggest if experience job so experiment. So similarly, civil service young options sustainability, for example, is an important field. Conservation, important field. Maupo avenues contribute to so Maupo is 4, 5, 6 years on civil services. If it's a waste of time, honestly. If you're dedicated, then yes, it's fine. But if this is it just for the respect, just for the fame, then no, because civil service clears on this thing. What are you going to do? The fame is not going to last forever, right? Then the real work starts. Then it is the motivation, interest, then you won't survive. So if you're interested, then only pursue it. So that's why career counseling and exploring different things is important. If you consider just the money, I don't think it's a wise option.
Exactly. One last. I'm sorry to. One last question. Sorry. On the other hand, you are civil service preparation you get to know, suppose one is coming from engineering background, and he has to read all the history and geography, all other subjects as well. So one good thing I saw preparing for us is it broadens our horizon of knowledge. Suppose for example,
हर एग्जाम में क्वालिफाई करना जरूरी है कि ओवरऑल मार्क्स दिखा जाते हैं?
हर पेपर में क्वालिफाई करना, आई थिंक
जरूरी है कि
मिनिमम
मतलब
मार्क्स बोले
वही क्वेश्चन था,
Yeah.
मतलब हर किसी में से पास
Okay,
करना होता है क्या?
Well, cumulative marks को तो ranking if account छानो पहाड़ा रहे, but along with that, minimum marks you're 10% or something, but that's very less. 10% क्या है 10% जिमाने में क्या है? That's based on the latest cutoff that came out. That's 2019 main से cutoff being दिया UPSC का. So that one is out. उसमें they've shown कि क्या cutoff रहा इस exam में, and that's also based on 10% minimum marks main से paper terminal. So if that answers your question.
Jule, hello. Any question
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah,
Changma Jule Gomata Ajay Namgyal Angmo, congratulations. Some exam bo qualify chajilla. Any questions bo question is question personality test related gira. मैं यू टीचर बाले तने इंगरा पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट जाने का लैंग्वेज पो गिरा प्रेफर होतिन प्रेफरेंस पो का लैंग्वेज नहीं होतिन ये पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट ना तने का तो क्वेश्चन दिखले इंगरा पर्सनालिटी जुगना टेस्ट ना क्वेश्चंस इंगरा रिकॉल चोंगे ना क्वेश्चन का चिक का तो क्वेश्चंस दिखतीस ले बोले
so my medium वो English होते हैं यार, so English ना गन ने फला so just was so comfortable with in English, and the other option was Hindi. So Hindi Zamshik ngata textbooks se launch na Hindi na met no yare since the beginning. So English medium school and then international school, then US. So I think, but I'm pretty sure कि ngata philo macha na international school ma sil na. I think most of us would be comfortable in English rather than Hindi. So English would be the medium. Then next question है जी questions
interview hometown related personal hobbies those questions question recall
so hometown it was expected recently Ladakh has become a union territory. Then questions based on erstwhile Jammu Kashmir accounting and just usually board for controversial topics so keep that in mind. So Leh I expect you to think Ladakh scholar ya Leh scholar but question approach interview na there was nothing about Leh. Mainly economics na field and on economist one scholar. I mean a recent Nobel Prize cow economics na last year. Te gune research scholar halale. Then young mathematicians scholar Indian mathematicians. Then that's current issue, relevant issue jiginole data security, data protection, data privacy laws. Each hame scholar connect because ये interview ताज़ने जब pandemic po ma change it was in March. Then empo issue आयो पिने कि कोशिया relevant news me wana lecture, authentic news me wana lecture. Just an amount of fake news circulate channel, misconception circulate channel. Teo koशिया regulate ju just tevis kola teve kama pick hone focus ju se रहते हैं. Then economics the current issue young economists they going to come up with focus just
ole thank you.
Hello. Same question. Hello. No?
Question ikan yang sama mute chazas le.
Question is pachile.
Yeah.
No?
The question क्या है?
अच्छा ये actually इसके ना इंग्लिश क्वेश्चन तो नहीं यार actually मतलब किसी गोल बुद्धि होता चलेगा एस्पायरेशन की मतलब कि आगे फ्यूचर में की मतलब कि सोशल सर्विस होती है या मंगको ना खची तो用的पले या पावर की या चुन या तो अलग अलग समय रंगा पैशन on the past actually तो सोशल सर्विस होता kazu shi important nokle कि ना एकदम से गोल बुका जो शुरू होती नokle तो एकदम से important nokle इंटरव्यू में तो
Interview.
ओले इंटरव्यू में ना
Yeah, mungkin interview na kone sushiti na cheese sushi.
मान ले रहा है मतलब कि समझ गए जो important होगा कि like रहा है मतलब कि intention बुका जो शिफ्ट like अगर मंको जैसे खासी मंको intention तो ना होता लेकिन power किया या जैसे या money किया या तुम पे किया ले तो में तो system वाले
Teaching new choice are like this is hard. Yeah, so intentions obviously the civil servants are no pahalari profile ba. So what does that mean? Civil servant when the service so link between the government and the people, and you're there to serve them. Government a policy going to implement churches, executive branch policy implementation. So welfare policies just the government teo meets hameka lep chukches halale maximum me gune ka lep chukches efficiently lep chukches then now task civil servant is so acha so teo sompasang obviously teo dhyan mein rakhkar obviously the intention has to be to serve the people. Power is one aspect of this job. Power that's not, I'm not denying that power में क्या होती profile देना, but that power has to be used for a good purpose, right? Power that's important because power certain level of power youth मानेगा था का civil servant job into चोंगे ना मानो याले, but excessively power बेका focus जो से chi intention in these civil servant क्यों इंचेस मानो, so it has to be a mix of both. Entirely social service power exercise so it has to be a balance of both. You have to exercise power for the welfare of the people. So now intention wishes and all that motivation exam clear because drive inspiring motivating factor does that answer your question? Is
actually yeah tell you last question here the question you last question but mention हमको तंगा मतलब कि फिल्म में मेंस रिलेट होता पाले कि मतलब कि हर मैक्सिमम हिस्ट्री पॉलिटी या ज्योग्राफी के संभाले इतने इसको मतलब कि इन हिस्ट्री बुक के the book mako mama kan compilation mako so book mako still goes na halal sente kan the book ta dang YouTube na yot no yala CCC no se sama then still te book na mo ne ma sama ke pal then some jikta pura in depth ho na har cheez se goes समझ ना दे और book का reference चल लेका का से goes na kan bo
so in depth na ni teachers gonna so experience ki hame zeta no teachers hame मेरा PhD चूस्ते मानोले research job मानोले competitive exam जगह फिर prepare चूस्ते नो हाले ते वे set syllabus युक्त क्या notification है UPSC website का then now follow चल जाते हैं then basic textbook मेरा गिफ्ट तो NCERT some खच्चे के 6th class में पहला NCERT read चुरुक study 6 to 12 या मैंने in case मैं comfortable होना already then 11 12 चिप हो चुस्ते so then ना NCERT books या basic books का कर दे रहे spectrum तंगे मेरा experience करेंगे ना खच्चे books मैंने मसल पे याले माँ को हम चीज़ there's no point चीज़ ना चूस्ते मानोले research का point to syllabus में then now study चूचेस ना so आले relevant issues ने को updated boards हैं newspaper चिक बस सिला every day newspaper सिलकर ना process चला just still things that चिक कोई face messages notes चूचेस ना ये something ना important मान हो newspapers है ना चीज़ ना तेना you'll only waste your time 1.5 hours in a paper jatan sila zatna automatically ngata nate zu point kal ke channel ki chi issues look important te issues bina chi relevant look syllabus point of view ne hale jatan sila zatna. So notes which is if you want to then that, but then sources limited for us like books then spectrum for example ngesilpin Lakshmikant Shankar Rai's environment affair NCERT thama then geography GC Leong khajig masil only NCERT economics if ya nge tezam mapos machus pen which is nge already based in economics na so they fang Indian economy ka mapo focus just that also newspapers yeah mane budget ko study which is economic survey go silches this of sources na limited bora jat ethics if ya mainly case studies ethics if ya concept khachik important definitely take on news shows on paper na so te ho choda
here I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead please.
Ma'am, you told you have worked in Citigroup for 2 years as business analyst. So does having a corporate experience helps or give an edge for UPSC preparation? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, you got the question or I have to repeat?
No, yeah, I got your question. So, of course, it's not necessary. You'll see it from the requirement, right? You only need to be a graduate. But it's up to you. It's from my own personal experience. For me, it was doing the job was helpful in terms of reaching the decision that I don't want to be in this sector. Rather, I want to pursue UPSC. But yes, it could depend, like the kind of work that you're doing that is relevant. For example, you could be working in the social sector, right? You could be working as a volunteer somewhere, or maybe you could be working in the financial sector. You gain perspectives doing that job, and then you can use that to set yourself apart from other candidates because you have that specific experience. And then you can sort of build on that. You can, for example, make your answers different by bringing in unique perspectives from your own work experience. You can maybe talk about, for example, in ethics, there's something called work ethics. You can talk about your own experiences there, maybe not so directly by referencing yourself, but indirectly, right? And similarly, in the interview, if you show that you have learned from your job, you've absorbed a lot from your job, if you communicate that to the board, that could also be a plus point. But definitely it's not important. What is important is how well you do in the exam, right? So you could have 0 job experience, but there are many other candidates who just start preparing for this exam right after graduation and then get it. There are many toppers in fact. So it's not important, but it could be an advantage if you play it, if you make it your advantage and you build on it. So I think that's what I would say. It's not compulsory,
Okay,
but
ma'am, another question.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Thanks, ma'am. Another question. How UPSC interview is different from corporate job interviews, and how we can prepare?
Well, corporate job interviews, they rely a lot on your past experience in terms of your work experience, right? Maybe the marks that you've got in your college, masters, whatever it is. And they depend a lot on the skill that they're looking for. If you have the skill that they're looking for, like it could be in the IT sector, if you have the relevant skill. If it could be for a journalist position, if you've done some sort of reporting somewhere, well, those things matter, right? But of course, those interviews will be designed differently. UPSC is in its own profile, it's for the job of a civil servant. So they look for attributes of a civil servant, attribute of an IT worker, an attribute of a civil servant, that's different. So the interview will be different in terms of what they'll ask you, how they'll ask you, what they'll be looking for in you. Civil servant has to be a person with integrity, a person who seems committed to serve the people. So who seems, to have the mental caliber, who seems to have good, values. So those are the things that they look for, and that's what they'll test in the interview. These things like values and all, they are important in corporate sectors to some extent, but not as important as the skill that you have in the relevant area. So they'll ask you questions about your technical skills in corporate interviews, for example. So that's how it is different. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, Julia Chele, Nitiwa Unyale.
Yeah.
Achele rang supesting na UWCS ko tunok payale. Testing na achele rise.
Yeah. Molata? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, it's a connection issue. Next question, Tina. Next answer, Sonamangel.
Hello. Yes. Julie. Hello. Julie, ma'am. Ma'am Le. Hello.
Julie. Yeah,
Hello,
clear
ma'am.
that. Let's follow around.
Okay. ये क्वेश्चन यू नहीं है कि मैम ने नंग गोमे का जॉब चोस्ते लोग इस क्या बोले टेस्ट ने फुली रीजन तांस तेने यूपीएससी पे डेडिकेट चोस क्या बोले तेने ये टीवा इन ना इन मतलब कि आता है प्रोफेशन इन में पता जॉब चेंजिंग आता है यूपीएससी पे आता है चोंग एंचेस इन वाले या प्रिपरेशन चोंग एंचेस इन वाले या मैं कमेंग आता है मतलब प्रोफेशन जॉब में कमेंग टोटली आता रिजाइन चोस्ते या प्रिपेयर चोसना को शिनो हम लोग इसको लेते हैं
Okay, clear कर answer जी में क्या आया ले depends ngata ngin chira mera ngata chi job chat ngira is to nunning song I think 2017 e topper ya mane talu topper na ne mapo kya le topper samena ne ka job ngimpo prepare chos so that's up to you nga it was based on my own ngara personal is decision in pinne ki na yung ngimpo nga chuche mera nga fully prepared chuche in dete ye decision in pinne ade but ngera in case ngera job ngimpo zik that if you ngera sa job chod na tene ngera something na UPSC fancy chera tene UPSC syllabus zik study chuche start chod that tene time ko manage charu harale because ye exam if you ngi samena at least 6, 7, 8 hours study choices ko important at least 7, 8 hours I think my experience so they manage then there's nothing like it it's completely possible so now
thank you Lord.
Achele Nitiwa hawa mogoli da record sombali.
So ka question utne se remind chosa no
Achele rang supesting na UWCS ko tunok payale. Ye na syllabus po alak chin ko malap.
Oh. Right. Yeah, continue chosa.
Syllabus po revise ko sa mosle.
Ka syllabus po revise choche UPSC fair.
NCERT chukshik bana chungis pa masila inok pa macharang menale.
Ole ka sa. Ito 11th 12th now ngera chichi sil to kya le NCERT na physics se basic concepts jano chemistry basic concepts jano geography basic concepts kya history and geography of course nge masila no 11th 12th na economics basic concepts te sama textbook chik na so young textbook na concept completely change na no pa le so nge base for gala song in fact UWC nge samara it was very helpful different perspective opportunity now coming to UPSC there's I think almost everyone doesn't matter history do geography in fact masters just do I think almost everyone goes back to the NCERT books so 11th 12th NCERT books start just but not gospel just because my UWC is open. In fact, it was good to be, coming back to the basic material. There's an difference. In the interim, experience just exposure a different perspective. So, it was quite normal for me.
Non-medical arts possible science.
11th, 12th,
Ole.
Man, ngi ngalang mention just peniale ngi ngala presentation dena UWC na specific it's of a stream yo amerugal non-medical, medical, commerce ngi mix chigotin subject le physics, chemistry, economics, math, English, literature hadale Hindi. So they mix chigotin so ngi categorize chungi just like medical dena but maybe non-medical with economics in terms of CBSE if you want.
UPSC correct chola optional subject post on je go sama so pa le achara achieve pinle optional
optional economics economics in a graduation now post graduation economics na choose so na natural choice economics
hello
yeah
yang lunch question juga chale yale ngera service po preference tanzania ka service po ngala preference tanzania de yang ate fair reason jikchi bote ngera yale destiny second question bo ngera take personal jik zen ta ngera daksa 323 rank dukala UPSC na ote rank pe ka satisfy jigra ka ki ngera yang improvement if yang next year on chen le kaushil
so service preferences to be honest na tezam mangko idea mera pile apart from the main jo IAS IFS IPS revenue perhaps didi fengi consult just when your relatives tene ya mane seniors ya shiskan bureaucrats so free contact in our relatives gone things so kona consult just thingy finalize just when your so first preference of IAS foreign service then police service and then on to revenue customs so on Helen so next question going to am I satisfied with this ranking honestly the mains pungi exam punga tisam my experience na tisam gyala masongle in fact mock test punga better experience of course first test series in our gyala performance masongle improve just the second test series in our gyala song this of in my na gut feeling jigu shios ke nga tisam gyala masong so I expect jamit pinde ki mains clear chin but I guess somehow I'm not sure ki kokshi would marks dasa marks na ding somehow cleared means then interviewing us somewhat satisfied around it was a good experience it was like a pleasant conversation with the board but then yes ranking definitely could have been a lot better but depends young woman it answers the question because ki dasa kokshik service allocation chat not desired service allocation then obviously I'll take it if not currently training to the economic service if I'll stick with that then I'll give the exam again in October
question the class gyale ta IAS IPS gonena information gala thok dukala internet kini ngata cheap perks rigot chi drawbacks rigot ngana IFS pe ngata check kam jik thok dukpa ngira topic shigote topic pe timolena IFS ka topic
foreign service
ole foreign service tole
information I think you can know multiple sources if you just google that Indian foreign service there's a sea of information out there you know foreign service this person you represent India to the world so there's a posting challenges on either Ministry of External Affairs embassies across the world so then I think you start from under secretary and so on details in our information but as per my understanding right now only that you either serve in MEA or embassies in a serve churches but it search shows that there's a lot of information so foreign service depends ika serve churches raki my interest young cultures interact churches share churches Indian experiences for India international relations for further enhance churches on the world stage then I'm interested yes foreign services for you
thank you
how question hello
yeah sir Yeah, more as a question to that.
Ma'am, ये question जो था मैं answer writing होगा तो क्या बोलूँ? यारे सगत लगा अधूरिया look and answer me please simple I see.
Did I'm audible mirror question board answer writing mo kaso improve choices in most than.
Oh, don't I am yes यारे gaga interview can answer
That's the second part. Put them is for a mirror. Yeah, chat and ideas that Nasuji suggests you said. Chat and a type to that.
Yale Namgyal Angmo le kan chat and a question kachik du pateo nge inazo silta nyale chik dis duk le ika taksang le youth pin bale. Is it difficult for science stream students to prepare for UPSC?
No, definitely not, Kale. So again, reiterate. If you see the list of people who have cleared the exam, science stream, engineering stream, gun toppers. In fact, I think edge science is an critical thinking developed science in rational thinking. Help so definitely if you think you optional is just the something okay engineering science optional something like physics or math or engineering if you do me board some now options engineering history sociology optionals in fact some impossible knowledge last year's topper I think physics or math optionals board rank so Kaspo maybe compared to already material terms and compile optionals but impossible net course just now syllabus को complete
online question chik du
question
yeah continue
actually answer writing strategy ko kazuk jise ngata bundle of knowledge ngata yo pata te kazo approach choices le kia jana ma mapus sila no paya chitong te kazo approach te mo choices le
so answer writing na hame important one ki time limited kya halal means na 3 hours so hardly 7 minutes 7-8 minutes question re answer choices at the same time ngata sambam was think just the right answer was time money limited in all it some short 1 or 2 lines of introduction but this thing get to the point wise they recommend ki efficient but to point wise macho now to the point answers irrelevant is time waste then conclusion again so the structure will follow I think it is important introduction short introduction decent body required a question according then again a short conclusion again depends question if it's asking for your opinion is the policy then a forward looking conclusion hopeful conclusion and then improve test series join to the point answers some answers test series join macho now answers deem check the opinion assess some gyala do gya mane me ka improve also they in now knowledge practice teachers and then consistently answers teachers
Julie ma'am angmole
Julie
nge question yun ba ma'am le
yamon
ngata main exam ta jiktang tini optional subject borgo sanok pahalalle
ole
tini optional subject जैसे कि ngata is political science bu bona tini interview ne lingata political science related tianole yang extra ngata question ko tianole interview nale
interview optional jikko test just mano pahalalle optional jikpe knowledge exam in a general studies ethics current issues political science definitely important knowledge, especially in optional political science possible in all the questions. But at the same time, then now is only political science is the focus joint. Just you personality test and all. Political science say knowledge is called a test man political science and knowledge la test optional paper in a GS paper in a fact based knowledge test. Personality test na personality test definitely each of questions gunti anole kawun GS and uncover something to but they unga express shot some she confidently zera halale body language puchiyo te same ka ma focus just chuna that's what's needed then they win allows mock interviews for extremely important and knowledge some shinga ta some looking at chigo expression and communication skills and but mapo areas of kya ka vina ta ro improve jo washes they mock interviews they kane pada chano ya detene they best solution best strategy mock interviews judges some should discuss chona in young peers and teachers and put important to know.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, tiwira payale.
Yeah.
Men's exam ina answer writing bo complicate words use macho ina easy wording bo use zadu pali. Tio achana na use pali. Easy wording use na complicated.
Complicated, to be honest, they time limited penang mind na yo mera like complicated words. The wise aman only complicated words iskola sambata inject dodal choindu jise means na ni experience na time yo mera yale so tena tam speed po matter chano kok shangata on the feet on thinking on your feet mera halale o to important no yale tyo some simple words na ngira answer tangena ta just khone words vocabulary test just manole khone ngira knowledge khone ngira analytical skills test just nole general issues gunes kola so simple words tyo ngi answer in simple words po use na better no young question you like
actually
Julie
congratulations
thank you question
Ole naming Said Bushra Mustafa in na Marvin Mission School na silat neighbors one question in ki ka standard kane preparation cho sano chazen nga dasa third standard
so okay third standard ni sanale ngira dasa ne phala use some just point it's a big thing so it's a good thing so congrats on that yale so third standard definitely dasa te veskola ngira definitely mind na to bora jati yale ki aage sonte yu chochera but dasa ngira focus jo school academics activities ninga la this extracurricular activities ma pot kya halale tena participate jo something in now academics check a focus job definitely academics important enough but young activities on focus job sports ngenga la miss on definitely sports is an important sports in a part communication skills improve like personality development ka focus so then it'll come on your own some shit class ne phala start chooses maybe in 12th complete just like graduation start jo na po ngira te start jo like exposure subjects so exposure thok je se fia te fair definitely dasa ta te sam te skola ngira te ka focus macho ma changi ka aspects lo halale o te ka focus jo da yale
Ole thank you
hello yeah question to that like voice breaks
Julian
yeah question to that
okay yeah Julian are you can you please tell us about the time management for UPSC preparation time management
definitely important in oil then yes experience in a fixed in mind and about just like at least some shik are silchen but more important than some shik are sila some shik effectively sila halate time when tyo manole ki completely you know, it's 13-14 hours cylinder just they are adverse effect so time management in the sense ki fixed time choice exam shiganange for example newspaper silin exam shik time if yange e subject ko exam shinge didn't cover chuchen similarly exam shinge optional if you're boring or fixed time maybe 2-3 hours japtang and recreation if you're fitness exercise if you're sports if you're te wona bora that so it is hama plan out just consistent dugna time management I think demo chuste charges and oil but diversion minimize choice and post social media minimize choices social media important and all to be in touch with people but you minimize choices news sources are limited in a paper chick silches there's a nginga longs has been mounted newspapers are kind of notes maybe it might help but experience in it wastes a lot of time. So fix 1.5, maybe 2 hours papers if yeah. Then maybe 5-6 hours GS if yeah, 2 hours optional if yeah. Then rest of the activities and socializing. There's a time management charges and all. I try to I think it'll work.
Yang chichigale. Dene news mirale news dang diringata news in short the queen tamand of summaries namang po yamirale kalteste kangata reliable duk na ki kokshino like
I think it depends ngira tyo ma effective thora nale halale short news of the tyo ma much as grasp chana maybe to continue chazat but nye experience na nga you better so like nga mo yamane nam ngira newspaper na tinna time bena catch up चीज़ समझते ना पेपर बनाए होते नॉले it's not that car time एक news event जिक break चाहते ना time एक अंगेरा त्यो सिल गोशेस हाले next day papers ना यो आनो त्यो जा खच्चे क्या analyze चुन दोनों newspapers ना so every day तेना car time slot पर board तो तेना जने news consumption वो limited board चल साले rest of the time में मापो material होते ना पर it's not only current affairs हाले GS some vast is no field history geography and everything they guna time just so important to know so news if you have fixed time just one newspaper maximum 2 newspapers in case you want one is enough Hindu or Indian Express so there's a mampeg is news consumption constantly goshes to myth and all I think jo goshes man all there
okay thank you Ole thank you
Young Idugale questions, I think 1.5 hours.
Hello.
Yeah, more like that.
Actually, in a reservation basic question, Judhiale.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, question is that question.
Julie. Actually, coaching institute reming gochina.
Rouse in Penyalangi in a type to stand Rouse Coaching Institute.
Ole.
Young question you the last question is
actually a last question bachale
yale
actually I reservation basic question judhiale atai Ladakh spona ketana ST benefit ma khachandu yale innang ketana khachi kaukshe benefit nendu zina chi intrenching innang sif card of pathana dik select pochana dik yale deneta in case atang general level jiga ketana student abo complete chose dembe success sangin na kazuk level jiga ta study jogosh tega question yale then second question bo in le Ladakh spona na communication skills interaction skills ma like do yale ma tu na kam du pale chief zinang dang dira tuition ang boto yale then tu na question teach pane telkan sok choches perata telches english perata telches o problem chado yale then the question is ka chala chief issue le
reservation it is important given that I historical experiences it's part of the Indian constitution itself But then yes, samara nam ngata exam jikta na entrance exam ya competitive exams. There's an yes like look katena cut off for some board thing still just do I don't think it's right. Ngara cut off po magor pille yes of course check just pille ki kok shiksha cut off of course anyone would do that halal st some shik cut off charuk but then while studying there's a mind in amabora Kaung study just to effectively study judges yeah answers gala ditches they veka focus just pille to see tena objective name posil na I think it's possible definitely KST sang cut off as ama marks soon. As far as then communication skills more right. The only nga cover just mile ngane phala curricular extracurricular activities not just academics. They veka focus shona schools na daksa mapo program kyale it's mapo schools na it's communication skills developed Sofia. Then some shake the advantage then I think they develop judges and all these skills.
Thank you.
In all answer all. So I think kale gata rap chona I think maybe gata yang session je organized going forward.
Yeah, thank you Namgyal Angmo, thank you very much. Ngara short notice in ka skute sangman po interactions such as tugje tene yang thansik tene Ladakh se mimang subjuste lopuguna subjuste tene ngara ma ubarik tashis telex tene nga ina rewachuen tene ngana ma as a civil servant Gagarepia Charles Zaden Kazuki Kedarji top at Chik Yungata Ladas Patuni Yusama Roski Mount Chingata Ladas Patuni Zukshan the Kingatan Job Chishuna Ladas La Join Inena Joinji. I think it's all India services Jona UPSC man paina some paget enough Teun Jonangata Pilora bingos enough she being an opportunity metano and being this thing when young Zambianata Ladaspo Jitna Midlo. Tenenge ina rewachun tengerang ikani service join choste kazukshi ke ngera nyanang latakse piang saikshik in latakse junugune pia ya latakse kase piang salat zaches skaps tobin something rewachun tenenge loktuk sama tena juniale teneng ulang use introduction tenenam gelang molenge konka Bangalore last chozani tezani ngana po chik interaction chat pen tene chamji khone dedication na po chot pen ra jobang choches ngapunya po prepare choches po to consistency na determination also so ma kharchani no samar yale chi la sik chona tene junu na tenangi jun ki nja changme chi life in a chick chen samne te kama das ani pela chick focus both determination na consistency na po choches tene tene yang mangpik miju tene ika scriptures pa tene tuje Namgyal Angmo le jule tene yang komane thamchik ya tashi telex mumbarik tene changmala ju junyal ya changma ju le changma ika scriptures pa tuje tene yang chichi ju oste ora gale tene ika chezani zoom ina ngata participant 100 chik maninga ta ika chonya na mukte pe dari gomani mang project meeting na du pros ma ko join cho maos tinja phasot sara mazat tene yo daksangi can record chosten tene ka edit chosten ta YouTube channel Ladakh Science Foundation YouTube channel ka ngata upload chen tene yang rewachon teni so yang ika nyanang ngati ka interaction chen teman yang mijaguna kona po directly yang ngata izat ka kona tuesday guidance nen nyanseseno tene tepe sugachi ka skut mayana na tepe chamala once pa jatyale tene chamala juliale chamala julia
jile coaching
ele ya jule chama ba ele
Thank you, sir.